Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Source. We came out of the break with some momentum, man. Great night, 5-3 for Friday night, 5-3-1 actually, plus 1.57 units. That puts us at around plus 6 units in the month of July. Love it. Let's keep the positivity rolling. MLB Saturday, we got 15 games to go through. I think I'm only going to go through about 6 or 7 in this video. I think I did 7 actually. But the live show tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. we'll go through all 15. So let's do it.
Welcome to The Source. The Source. Source. Hey, get the Source.
First up, Padres at Phillies. Blake Snell pitching against Taijuan Walker. Padres open up as pretty slight road favorites here, minus 135. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we're looking at a 2-2 tie after 5 innings. Final score, 5-3 Phillies. Well, we definitely know how dominant Blake Snell has been heading into the break. In his last 9 starts, he had an 0.68 ERA, a 2.28 expected FIP. Truly elite numbers. The man's on a warpath, no doubt about it. And to add on to that, Blake Snell's got great career numbers against these Phillies bats. The current Phillies lineup is hitting just 200 off him with a 647 OPS and a strikeout rate over 36%, which is just nuts. That being said, his last 3 starts against this team have not gone well. In his last 3 starts against the Phillies, he's 1-2 with a 6.91 ERA and a 1.39 WHIP. So, I mean, he struggled against the Phillies in his last few starts. And the Phillies have been red hot against left-handed pitching. In the last 30 days, the Phillies are 9th in WRC+, 5th in OPS, 5th in isolated power. Look at the last 4 lefty starters to pitch against the Phillies. They combine for a 9.68 ERA, 2.5 home runs per 9, 170 WHIP. The Phillies have been absolutely crushing lefties. By the way, you want to know who those 4 lefty starters were that combined for that 9.68 ERA? Luzardo, Garrett, Gore, and Smiley. So it's not like they were seeing lefty scrubs. They saw some decent lefty starters and they still crushed them. I don't know how much I like this spot for Blake Snell. Honestly, I think the Phillies are going to tag him up a bit. On the other side, we've got Taijuan Walker, and he's got solid career numbers against the Padres. He's made 7 starts against them. He's 3-3 with a 2.61 ERA and an 0.89 WHIP. Really hasn't had many problems with this team in the past. He's also been red hot. In Taijuan Walker's last 6 starts, he's got a 1.62 ERA, a 0.95 WHIP, 290 FIP, 375 expected FIP. So he's been very good, but we do need to take note that he did have a bit of trouble in his last start in Tampa Bay. 5 hits, 5 walks, 4 earned runs in 7 innings pitched. But like I said, that was on the road in Tampa. I think we can cut him a bit of slack here. Speaking of that, let's talk about his home-away splits. This game's at home in Philly, where he's been much better. His 5.25 ERA and a 1.44 WHIP on the road. Those numbers drop down to a 2.13 and an 0.95 at home. FIP and expected FIP numbers drop down at home as well. But let's take it one step further. Not only has Taijuan Walker been a beast at home, but he's also been a beast at home during the day. He's made 4 home day starts this year. He's got a 1.29 ERA and an 0.95 WHIP. Now, these splits, we might be cutting it a little thin here. But hey, I thought it was worth mentioning. We are working. The point is, we are working with Taijuan Walker in his best splits possible. So I do like the spot for Walker, but at the same time, we do have to mention that the Padres bats are getting hot. In the last 30 days, they're 4th in WRC+, 7th in isolated power, 4th in on-base percentage. These are the numbers against right-handed pitching. Padres bats seem to be figuring their shit out. The last 4 righty starters to pitch against the Padres, 6.89 ERA, 1.57 WHIP. Righties have been struggling to get outs against this team. Want to know who those pitchers were? Scherzer, Verlander, Ohtani, and Barria. So just like the Phillies against the last 4 lefties they've seen, Padres have smacked around some quality righties themselves. So I think we're honestly looking at a bit of a wash through the first 5 innings. So why don't we take it to the second half? And when we look at the bullpen, there's no question the Phillies have the huge edge here. Phillies bullpen has far outproduced the Padres bullpen. Over the last 30 days, Phillies are 5th in ERA, 1st in expected FIP. Padres are 24th and 23rd in the same time span. So I'm doing it. I'm fading Snell. I'm fading the Padres. I'm taking the Phillies as home dogs here. Give me the Phillies money line at plus 115 next game. Red Sox are in Wrigley Field. We got Boston at Chicago here. James Paxton pitching against Marcus Stroman. Cubs open up as minus 135 favorites. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we have no lean at all here. 1-1 tie after 5 innings. After 9 innings, 3-3 tie. So I guess I would call that a lean on the under. So we've got James Paxton making a road start here where he's been slightly worse on the season, but nothing crazy. His ERA jumps from a 2.05 at home up to a 3.18 on the road. FIP and expected FIP numbers jump up about 1 run per 9 innings as well. But it doesn't matter if James Paxton is at home or on the road. One thing is absolutely certain with this dude. He knows how to get right-handed bats out. On the season, his splits against righties, 243 WOBA, strikeout rate over 32%, an 082 whip, 320 expected FIP. He's got excellent numbers against right-handed bats. The reason that information is so crucial in this matchup, the Cubs are most likely going to have 8 right-handed bats in their lineup in this one. So despite being on the road in Wrigley Field, I really like this spot for James Paxton. And then we add on the fact that the Cubs have been struggling to hit lefties recently. In the last 30 days, the Cubs are 21st in WRC+, 22nd in on-base percentage against left-handed pitching. So again, I really like this spot for James Paxton. Now on the other side, we got Marcus Stroman, obviously having a great season. And he's pitched well against this Boston team. In his last 4 starts against the Red Sox, he's 2-1 with a 1.88 ERA, 1.29 whip. Those numbers get even better if you look specifically at his last 3 home starts versus Boston, 1-0 with an 0.95 ERA. All that being said, we do have to ask if something's going on with Stroman right now. Obviously, he's got dominant looking numbers on the season, but if you look specifically at the numbers from his last 3 starts, 7.71 ERA, 3.36 WOBA, and a 1.71 whip. That is not good. Now, the 3.54 expected FIP in those 3 starts indicates that he's had some really bad luck, but still something to keep an eye on. I don't know if I have a ton of confidence in Marcus Stroman right now. This start against Boston is kind of the perfect gauge of where Marcus Stroman is. This will tell us a lot. He's at home against a lineup that's pretty solid, but not elite. Boston the last 30 days against righties, 14th in WRC+, 17th in isolated power. So tough to predict what we're going to see in that matchup, but I think we can count on the Red Sox to get at least 1 or 2 across. I don't know if they're actually going to light Stroman up. I'm going to say 2 runs in 5 innings. Now, bullpen-wise, at first glance, the edge definitely goes to the Cubs. And I shouldn't say at first glance. The Cubs have the bullpen edge here, but if you look at the expected FIP numbers over the last 30 days, Boston's 16th and Chicago's 17th. So maybe the gap between these 2 bullpens isn't quite as big as you would think. Now, I like the Cubs bullpen, so I am going to give them the bullpen edge, but I'm just saying the expected FIP numbers are something to look at. I know the Cubs at -115 at home with Stroman on the mound seems tempting, but I just don't see this Cubs lineup getting to Paxton. So I'm going to take Boston in this one. Give me Boston moneyline -105 next game. Arizona at Toronto. We got D-backs at Blue Jays here. Zach Gallen pitching against Kevin Gausman. Awesome pitching matchup. Toronto opens up as slight favorites here at home, -120. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got no lean at all as far as picking a side. 2-2 tie after 5 innings. After 9 innings, 4-4 tie. So let's start out with Zach Gallen's home-away splits because they're definitely concerning here. He's got a 1.48 ERA at home. It jumps all the way up to a 5.08 on the road. Expected FIP jumps from a 2.70 to a 4.43. So no question, a definite drop-off in production for Zach Gallen in his road starts. Now, when we take a look at the Toronto Blue Jays lineup, yeah, as I mentioned yesterday, they got some ugly-looking numbers against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days. 22nd in WRC+, 18th in isolated power. That being said, they definitely got to Ryan Nelson in their first game out of the break. I know they only scored 2 runs, but they had 9 hits off him in less than 6 innings. So I think we're going to see Toronto get to Zach Gallen here, for real. On the other side, we got Kevin Gausman. He's got excellent numbers against the current D-backs lineup. Arizona's lineup lifetime's hitting just 196 off Gausman with a 579 OPS. I mean, he's really owned this team. Gausman's last 8 starts against Arizona, get this, he's 6-0 with a 1.64 ERA and an 0.93 whip. Strikeout rate over 32%. So legitimately, he has owned the Arizona Diamondbacks. He might own stock in the team. And to take it even further, Kevin Gausman's got excellent looking numbers at home in Toronto. 2.58 ERA, 0.76 home run per 9, 0.99 whip, 2.34 expected FIP. I mean, Kevin Gausman at home against a lineup he historically has dominated. And to take it even further, as I keep saying, the Diamondbacks lineup is heading into a slump against right-handed pitching. They were ice cold heading into the break. In the last 14 days before the All-Star break against right-handed pitching, 25th in WRC+, 24th in on-base percentage, 17th in isolated power. Righty starters have had no problems putting up great games against Arizona recently. Jose Barrios pitched pretty well. I think he went 5 1/3, just 1 run. He gave up like 6 or 7 hits, but still pitched a solid game. So I don't see any way Arizona gets the Gausman here at home. I'm all over the Blue Jays here. I mean, obviously, I hate the minus 160 price. But I might even be down to lay the 1.5 here. I don't know exactly how I'm going to bet this one. I'm definitely not going to take Arizona. I'll be betting Toronto in some way. I'll let you know on the live show tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Next game. Cleveland at Texas. Guardians, Rangers. We got Gavin Williams pitching against Andrew Heaney. Texas opened up as huge favorites here, minus 180. Total opens up at 8.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got to lean on Cleveland here. 3-2 Guardians after 5 innings. Final score 5-4 Guardians. So we got highly touted rookie Gavin Williams making the start here for Cleveland. Like I said, through 4 starts, he's got okay looking numbers. A 4.01 ERA, 4.72 expected FIP. 109 whip. Those are solid looking. That being said, he pitched against the Braves once, but the other 3 starts, Kansas City twice and Oakland. So he's had a bit of an easy road here. One thing that could be concerning in this matchup, he's definitely got worse looking splits against left-handed bats. You could see against lefties a 338 WOBA, a 2.0 home runs per 9, 128 whip, 651 FIP. All those figures significantly worse than his numbers against right-handed bats, and the reason I'm bringing this up is the Rangers regularly start 5 lefties in their lineup. Speaking of the Rangers bats, let's look at their numbers against right-handed pitching the last 30 days, and as you would expect, they're top 5 or 6 in every single category. 4th in WRC+, 4th in isolated power, 7th in on-base percentage. So I just don't see how we can count on Gavin Williams to shut this lineup down. There's just no numbers that indicate that. But before we just rush to bet the Texas Rangers, we got to look at some Andrew Heaney stuff because it's not looking good here. First of all, the current Cleveland Guardians lineup has excellent lifetime numbers against Andrew Heaney. 333 WOBA, 961 OPS, a 6.6 home run percentage. Andrew Heaney's last 3 starts against Cleveland, he's got a 6.55 ERA, a 3.3 home runs per 9, a 181 whip. So he's been getting rocked by this team. And not just by this team, he's getting rocked by everybody recently. Andrew Heaney since June, his last 7 starts, 6.39 ERA, 2.3 home runs per 9, 168 whip, 41.1% hard hit rate. Andrew Heaney really struggling right now. And then you add on the fact that he's been even more vulnerable at home in Arlington. His numbers at home on the season, 5.29 ERA, 1.7 home runs per 9, 153 whip, 525 FIP. So everything points to Andrew Heaney being in a terrible spot. Now, the Cleveland lineup doesn't exactly set the world on fire against left-handed pitching. You can see in the last 30 days, 19th in WRC+, 16th in isolated power, 23rd in on base percentage, nothing crazy, but I just don't see any way I can trust Andrew Heaney here at all. So tell me why I shouldn't go right back to the over here. I had over 8.5 last night. It cashed for me easily. I'm going to go right back to it. It's sitting at 9. Give me the over 9. Next game. Marlins at Orioles. This is my bet of the day last night. Orioles money line, it hit. This one we got Braxton Garrett pitching against Kyle Gibson. Baltimore opened up as very slight home favorites here, minus 115. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we got 4-2 Marlins after 5 innings. Final score 5-4 Marlins. So model's giving us a lean on the fish here. So like I said, Braxton Garrett on the mound. Dude definitely hasn't looked the same recently. I mean, if you look at his numbers from his last 2 starts in comparison to the previous 4, his ERA's up above 5 compared to 116. WOBA's up, WHIP is up, expected FIP is up. Now, to be fair, in the last 2 starts, he pitched against the Phillies and the Cardinals. Heading into the All-Star break, those were 2 of the hottest lineups in baseball against left-handed pitching. Now he gets to pitch against Baltimore. This Orioles lineup is definitely not one of the hottest in baseball against left-handed pitching. In fact, in the last 30 days, they're in the bottom 10 in basically everything. 22nd in WRC+, 27th in isolated power. So this should be a nice spot for Braxton Garrett to get back on track. And then we add on the fact that it's a road start in Baltimore. Braxton Garrett's been much better on the road this year. He's got a 5.28 ERA at home compared to a 2.14 on the road. WOBA, home runs per 9, FIP numbers, all significantly better on the road as well. I really think Braxton Garrett should absolutely deal here in this spot. Now, on the other side, we've got Kyle Gibson, and this man, kind of like Andrew Heaney, this man's just going through it right now. In Kyle Gibson's last 4 starts, he's got a 7.40 ERA, 150 whip. Really tough to get behind this guy right now. His worst split is at home against right-handed bats. He's getting smacked by righties at home, and the Marlins without Jazz Chisholm are probably going to be starting 6 righties in their lineup. You can see that his numbers at home against righties, a 377 WOBA, 179 whip, not good at all. Now, like I've said a number of times, I don't trust the Marlins lineup at all. I mean, you can see their numbers against righties in the last 30 days. 20th in WRC+, 23rd in isolated power, 20th in OPS. This It's nothing that should scare anybody, but there's just no way I can get behind Kyle Gibson at all. And then you add on the fact that the Marlins should have the bullpen edge as well. I'm definitely on the fish here, and you're going to give it to me at plus money. Give me Miami money line plus 102, plus 103, somewhere in there. Definitely on the fish. Next game. Nats at Cards. Jake Irvin pitching against Steven Matz. Cards open up as heavy favorites here, minus 245. Total opens up at 9. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got no lean at all through 5 innings. We're looking at a 3-3 tie. Final score 6-5 Cards. Well, why don't we start out with the transformation of Jake Irvin? We all remember how awful he was during that stretch at the end of May into June. We were making some jokes. It was fun. But that's in the past. Because look at his numbers from his last 5 starts in comparison to the previous 5. 3.25 ERA, 1.19 WHIP. He's been true. I mean, I'm not going to say he's been excellent, but he's been pitching well. Now, the FIP and expected FIP numbers indicate that maybe he's gotten a bit lucky, but still, you cannot argue with the fact that we're seeing a definite production boost from Jake Irvin here. And during that stretch, he pitched against the Texas Rangers, the Cincinnati Reds, Arizona Diamondbacks. So it's not like he's pitching against scrub lineups either. Jake Irvin's really turned his season around. That being said, this is going to be a tough one for my boy Jake. On the road at Busch Stadium against a Cardinals lineup that's just producing against both righties and lefties recently. In the last 30 days, the Cards are 8th in OPS, 7th in WRC plus against right-handed pitching. So I don't have a ton of faith in Jake Irvin in this spot. That being said, the truth is this price is just insane for a Steven Matz start. This blows my mind. Steven Matz as a starter this year is 0-6 with a 5.17 ERA and a 1.62 WHIP. He makes one good start against the White Sox, and we're just going to forget about all that. I might blindly take the Nationals at plus 205. You're going to give me a plus 205 dog against Steven Matz? I'm going to take it regardless who it is. I'll take the Portland Sea Dogs at plus 205 against Steven Matz. So I'm probably going to take Washington here. That's where I'm leaning. Next game. White Sox at Braves. Good old Lance. My boy Lance is pitching against Spencer Strider. Atlanta opens up as minus 285 favorites. Total opens up at 8. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And surprise, surprise, we got a huge lean on the Braves. 5-1 Atlanta after 5 innings. Final score 7-3 Atlanta. So I'm not going to dive into this one right now. I'll talk about it on the live show. But the truth is, this price is just crazy to me. I'm probably not going to give this one out as far as putting it on the VIP ticket or anything. But I'm personally, full disclosure, I'm personally going to bet the White Sox money line here. Plus 285, plus 290 for the White Sox. These aren't the Oakland A's. And even if it was, plus 290. Lance Lynn on the road as an underdog is a spot I've had success betting over the last few years. When everyone thinks he's going to get crushed, that's when he shows up. Look, I don't have a ton of reasons why the White Sox should beat the Braves. They shouldn't. I'm just playing the price here. So I'm personally going to bet the White Sox, but officially I'll call it a pass. Next game. Astros at Angels. Framber Valdez pitching against Reed Detmers. Houston opens up as minus 130 favorites here on the road. Total opens up at 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and we got a lean on the Astros here. 2-1 Houston after 5 innings. Final score 5-3 Houston. So Framber Valdez is actually coming off back-to-back rocky starts here at St. Louis and at Toronto. He got hit up in both of those. 5.73 ERA, 1.73 WHIP. Those are his numbers for those 2 starts. But I'm not really worried about that, to be honest, because his road starts on the year before that were really solid. Also, the Cardinals were red hot against lefties at the time, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to his last 2 road starts. Plus, we already saw Framber Valdez go into LA and pitch a gem against the Angels. This was back in May. Through 8 innings, just 3 hits and 1 run. Absolutely shut this lineup down. In fact, the Angels must hate when this dude Framber Valdez comes to town because he just owns them. Since 2021, he's made 4 trips into LA to pitch against the Angels. He's been absolutely dominant in every single one. He's got an 0.98 ERA. The Angels are hitting just 172 off him in those games. 246 expected FIP. This man owns the Angels, both in Houston and LA, but specifically in LA, he absolutely owns the Angels. And remember the days where the Angels lineup was dangerous against left-handed pitching earlier in the season? Well, those days definitely seem to be in the past. In the last 30 days, the Angels have seen 5 lefty starters. Clayton Kershaw blanked them. Blake Snell blanked them. Tommy Henry blanked them. They did score 2 on Gomer and 3 on Kyle Freeland, but both of those games were in Coors Field. 2 runs and 3 runs in 5 innings against Gomer and Kyle Freeland in Coors Field isn't even impressive at all. So I don't see any reason to doubt Framber Valdez in this spot. Now on the other side, we've got Reed Detmers, and this dude got absolutely annihilated in his last start. But let's be fair to the guy. Was on the road in Dodger Stadium. At home in Angel Stadium, he's been excellent. He's got a 3.35 ERA, 3.18 FIP, 3.19 expected FIP at home this year. He's been a beast at home. And he only seems to be getting better too, because in his last 3 home starts, he's got a 1.35 ERA, 2.63 FIP, 2.77 expected FIP. And those 3 starts were against the Dodgers, the White Sox, and the Cubs. So he's not like he's putting these numbers up against Oakland and Kansas City. That being said, Reed Detmers is definitely going to have his hands full in this one because the Astros are back, hitting lefties again. Last 14 days before the break, they're 11th in OPS, 10th in WRC plus against left-handed pitching. The last 2 lefty starters to pitch against the Astros, Martin Perez and Kyle Freeland. Houston scored 10 runs on those 2 guys in just 7 2/3 innings pitched. That's an 11.74 ERA combined between the 2. And it certainly doesn't help his case that Reed Detmers has had problems with Houston. Since last year, he's made 4 starts against the Astros, and the numbers definitely don't look great. 5.59 ERA, 1.55 WHIP. Expected FIP at 4.59 isn't awful, but overall he struggled with this Astros lineup. So despite Reed Detmers having great numbers in his last 2 starts at home, I really think the Astros get to him here. And we all know how bad the Angels bullpen has been, so I'm definitely on the Astros here. It's at -130 now, and I'm betting this right now. I'm literally going to stop recording and bet this now, because I have a feeling this price is going to jump, especially with the Astros. They're beating the Angels right now. They're up 7-5, I think, in the 7th. So if the Astros win this game, I would imagine this price is closer to -140, maybe even higher. So I'm definitely on Houston here. Next game, Tigers at Mariners. Michael Lorenzen pitching against George Kirby. Seattle opens up as -195 favorites. Total opens up at 7.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We got 3-1 Mariners after 5 innings. Final score 5-3 Mariners. I'm actually going to skip this one and save it for the live show at 11 a.m. Obviously, I like George Kirby at home here, and I really don't trust Michael Lorenzen like I did back in April and May. So I like Seattle, don't like the price. I want to see what the line does before I give a bet out, so I'll definitely go over this one on the live show at 11 a.m. If anything changes with any of the bets I gave out in this video, I will let you know on Twitter, so give me a follow there if you're interested. Also, like I've mentioned a few times, live show 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll go through all 15 games, go through the line movements, make our final decisions. So if you're able to make it at 11 a.m. Eastern time, would love to see you in the comments participating in the live polls. If you want the final tickets I put out, which has every single bet I'm making for the day, top bets, parlay of the day, comes with a VIP chat that we have. If you're interested in any of that, head over to KyleKirms.com. MLB Saturday, we got 15 games, a lot of action on the board. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you on Twitter.